Hey, kids, it's the Matt Murphy Radio Show getting underway for another day, just past high noon on a rainy, soggy, slightly windy, and fall-like day in the Music City. Happy to have you with us at 12:05. May I be the first to say a good afternoon from Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's our episode 460, and we're proud to be here on this Tuesday, November 21st, 2023. Allow me to clear my throat. Hold on. Pardon moi. We've got lots to get into, and we're back in studio today after a wonderful day of giving at Nashville Rescue Mission. More on that in just a moment. You can call us 615-737-9986. This week is a week of Thanksgiving. We don't celebrate just one day. We celebrate the entire week. We'll talk about what you're giving thanks for a little later on in the broadcast as well. I'm thankful that Mason Fleming is behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as possible. Bell K's around here somewhere, but he's preparing for the Thanksgiving holiday. Believe it or not, we don't have to do it. The hosts don't have to do much of anything to prepare for a day off. But the producers, my goodness gracious, there's a lot of work going on in the background to give us an opportunity to have a day or so off. And we're off on Thursday, off on Friday, and back on Monday. And so I wish you a happy and wonderful Thanksgiving. I'll do that all throughout the day today and all tomorrow. And hopefully you'll be with us come Monday. And I hope you have great Thanksgiving plans. And unlike Mr. Hand, I wish you well in your travels today or tomorrow or whenever you happen to be going. I hope you have safe travels, and I hope you get there as swiftly as humanly possible and certainly as safely as humanly possible. I'm doing a little traveling, but it is on the road. It's not in the air, although I hear the horror stories of people that are going up in the air. It's episode 460 of the proceedings today, and as I say, you're invited to be a part of those at 615-737-9986. You can do that either the phone lines or the super text lines. They're up and running as always, and we appreciate your participation in the broadcast. Always good to turn a monologue into a dialogue or a dialogue into a trialogue, however you want to do it. And there's much to do. But before we get into that, I want to spend a moment talking about yesterday. If you missed any of the broadcast, and I understand there are some naysayers, ne'er-do-wells and whatnot, that get frustrated with the repetitive nature of the radio. This Labor Day telethon, I remember that. It was a symbol of being back in school when I was a kid. It was the only thing going. I mean, you didn't watch anything else when the Labor Day telethon was on. I got a great story about the Labor Day telethon, actually. They scrolled. Remember back in the day, Mason doesn't, but Bell probably does. You probably do as well. Back in the day, I mean, it was the only thing going for Labor Day weekend. It was the only thing to watch. I don't even know if there was anything on the other networks. But I know that the Labor Day telethon was a big deal. And it was certainly on in my grandparents' house. And they had the scroll. You could call the national number, but then they had a scroll of local numbers. Like if you're in Richmond County, call this number. If you're in Augusta, Georgia, call this number. If you're in Warren County, call this number. If you're in McDuffie County, which is my county, call this number. My grandparents' number, a number that I will never in my life forget, was 706-595-6311. And the number for the Jerry Lewis Labor Day Telethon was 706-595-6313. And believe it or not, we got a lot of calls. I mean, I say a lot, probably, 10, maybe a few more over the course of the 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever it was for the Labor Day telethon. And so it was always a big time in my home as my grandfather, my grandfather allowed himself to get so angry about wrong telephone numbers and telemarketers and that sort of thing, especially later on in his life, watching him get increasingly angry that the people could not see the telephone number on the screen when it scrolled by or when it flashed up and make an appropriate telephone call without misdialing the telephone number or misreading the telephone number. Big fun in the Wilson household. My grandfather, last name was Wilson. Anyway, I understand the nature of a broadcast like yesterday, but I know how much you understand it as well. So I get that the repetitive nature of it can be off-putting to a few, but for the most of us, we understand the importance of the event. And I tried to express this yesterday, and I want to double down on it today. Because there was almost $250,000 raised yesterday for Nashville's rescue mission. $250,000, $250,000 from you. You did that. I didn't do that. Dan Mandis didn't do. Well, I mean, we contributed our own small portion to it. You did that. That is the generosity of the American people. More specifically, it's the generosity of the people in the South, and more specifically still, the generosity of listeners of Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And I sincerely want to spend just a somber moment to say thank you for that. I know we thanked you repeatedly yesterday. I know Dan Mandis did it this morning. I know Chris Hand did it later in the morning. I know that Brian Wilson will do it after I leave these airwaves at 3 o'clock. We cannot say it enough.
And I want to throw in there, as someone who was there all day yesterday, I got there in the morning and was there till we ended up at 7 o'clock. It was wild seeing those phones go off the wall.
Incredible.
All day long, hearing those bells ring. And as someone who's not here all the time, getting to see how much everybody was involved and getting to see how much you guys all were involved as well was absolutely mind-blowing and
that's cool.
Substantial for sure.
No, that's cool, Mason. Thank you. Thank you for saying it. I mean, I understand, in our world in the radio game, it is our job to keep ears on the radio. My job, when all is said and done, I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but my job is to keep you listening from this commercial to that commercial. That's it. That's my entire job on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Or on any radio station, for that matter. Because radio is free for a reason, because we have a kind of a three-legged stool going on with listeners programming, whatever that programming might be it talk or music, and our advertisers. Listeners, advertisers, and what we do here. And my entire job is to keep you engaged in some way to keep you from here to here. And we choose on Super Talk to do it in a very earnest, honest, and organic way, in that we speak about issues that are going on in your world that you care about, things that are going right, things that are going wrong, probably more things that are going wrong than are going right. But ultimately, our job is to keep you engaged in listening. Yesterday was one of those special days where we understand that what we will be talking about is more of an ask, not a give. We're not giving you something, what we hope to be entertaining, compelling talk radio for the masses. We're asking something of you. To give us a day of your time to think about the least of these and to do something for the least of these. But I have, for my entire career in this medium, understood that we can talk about the president till the cows come home. We can talk about issues that really matter till the cows come home. I can entertain you. I can do a little soft shoe or do jokes or whatever. But if we aren't here as a community-based radio station to do what we did yesterday, then I don't know what we're here for. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. We cannot do that every day. Because if we attempted to do it every day, people would gravitate away from it. We understand that. But especially in this week of Thanksgiving and at the unofficial beginning of the holiday season, to take a 14-hour period of time and remember that there are those that do not have. There are those that will not celebrate. There are those that are suffering. Doesn't matter why. For a day, we can talk for the other 364 days of the year about the whys and the why nots. But for one day, we simply talk about the way to solve the issue. And as I said yesterday, in the absence of us stepping up as a community, in the absence of us stepping up through a charity organization, a wonderful charitable organization like Nashville Rescue Mission, in the absence of church organizations and other faith-based groups coming together to solve issues like this, in that absence, the government steps in and always screws it up. Always screws it up. The government rarely, if ever, does anything as well as the private sector. Rarely, if ever, can the government accomplish something in a more efficient, cost-effective manner than the private sector. And sadly, because politicians want votes, and because politicians want to check off boxes, and because politicians want to run around next election cycle telling you that they did this and that they did that, government is constantly encroaching on these organizations and in these situations attempting to take them over. In the absence of community-based support or charitable-based support, the government tries to fill that void. And they spend endless amounts of tax dollars in an attempt to do so in a more ineffective and less cost-effective way. And they destroy those organizations that were there to help to begin with. When left to our own devices, faith-based groups, church-based groups, community-based organizations, and your circle of family and friends are there to offer that level of support. Is it enough? Oftentimes it is not. That's why we have the Radiothon that we have. Nashville Rescue Mission is an absolute jewel. And as I said yesterday too, and I'll reiterate it today for those who missed it, I don't know where we would be from a homeless population perspective without Nashville Rescue Mission. There are many communities, many cities of the size of Nashville, especially cities in more blue states, that have run away from a faith-based approach to helping our homeless population. And it doesn't work. Now, you can say whatever you want about a faith-based approach, but it works. And I challenge you to tell me that it doesn't. No, they don't hammer you over the head. They're there for you for a meal. They're there for you with a bed. They're there for you with comfort and love and support and help to get away from those things that might be negatively impacting your life, whether they're self-imposed or not. But they're also there for spiritual comfort and for spiritual health that is so much more encompassing than just a meal or a bed. So much more long-standing than those things. Sadly, without that level of support, oftentimes that temporary meal or that bed or whatever those fixes might be, they don't take hold in the head or the heart of the individual that you're trying to help. And they go back to the addictive things that perhaps brought them there, or the other negative issues that might have brought individuals into that circumstance. It doesn't have any sense of permanence. But with an approach like the Nashville Rescue Mission takes, it works. Doesn't work for everyone. Obviously, they're not 100%, but they do such a better job. And I don't know what the city would look like without them. Which leads me to this. And I didn't focus on it that much yesterday because I did not want to turn what was such a positive and wonderful 14-hour experience during the Radiothon, raising almost $250,000, into something that was perceived as negative. And I didn't want to make it negative by necessarily harping on this, but let me say it today. Freddie O'Connell, if you're listening to this show, and I know maybe sometimes you do, anyone within city government, if you're listening to this show, and I know sometimes maybe you do, or if you know someone that is involved in Nashville government, I do not for a second understand the permitting process that is involved in getting a business or a nonprofit such as Nashville Rescue Mission into a facility that they have constructed and spent $25 million in doing so. I think that's about right. I think that figure's about right. But if you missed it, Nashville Rescue Mission has for the last several years been building a women's and children's campus. By necessity, they have to keep the men's campus and the women's and children's campus separate for obvious reasons. Primarily, a lot of the women and the children that are at the Nashville Rescue Mission are there because they have been in abusive relationships and whatnot. Secondarily, you have individuals, men coming in that are involved in drug addiction and other sorts of addictions that would preclude them from, you don't want to associate them in a general population setting with women and children. That said, they keep these campuses separate. For the last several years, they've been separate under the same roof. At Rosa Parks, by the way, Nashville Rescue Mission receives no government money. And on Rosa Parks Boulevard, they've spent the last 2.5 years building a facility. And it was ready October 25th, almost a month ago. And for that length of time, they've been sitting, waiting for their certificate of occupancy, which involves individuals going over to the facility and inspecting the facility. And since that time, we were told yesterday that they've been waiting, and they're told that they're in a queue. But they're in a queue with, look, I'm not begrudging you if you're a for-profit business. I'm not trying to hurt you. If you're a residential complex or whatever you might be where the government has to come in and make sure that your facility is A-OK before they allow you to occupy the building. But why in the world, with everything that Nashville Rescue Mission does for this community, why in the world, with the burden that they take off of the city with regard to their services that they offer at no cost to the taxpayer, why in the world are they waiting in line behind all of these other businesses and buildings when they're ready to go? They literally, at the time that they open the Women's and Children's Center, will have the ability to alleviate the strain of homelessness during the Christmas holiday this year, right now. They'll be better able to do that to help the city of Nashville out and to help individuals who find themselves in bad situations on city streets right now. They will take money away from, or take the burden away from the city services that are involved in the homeless population, and they'll put that burden on themselves. Yet they're unable to do so because the city's dragging its feet. And oh, by the way, what an incredible public relations coup for you, city. Nashville, Freddie O'Connell, mayor, what a great moment it would be. Hey, we saw that this was taking too long, and we don't want a single person to be left out in the cold during the holidays, so we expedited the process. We got our inspectors over to Nashville Rescue Mission, and we got their permits done, and they're going to be open before Thanksgiving. God bless Nashville, and God bless the state of Tennessee. What a great public relations moment for you politicians. Yeah, you don't seem to get it. I'm just trying to help you out. Jump the line. Well, that's unfair. Screw that. Jump the line. They help the city. They help the homeless. They do those things that the city doesn't have the ability to do. All right, there's my piece on that. Thank you so much. God bless you for everything that you did with Nashville Rescue Mission yesterday, almost $250,000. We appreciate you. It's 12:23. You're listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Tennessee Men's Clinic wants to see you if you're lethargic, if you're run down, if you don't feel like you got it during the holiday season. Let's talk about it because I believe I can give you that it factor back in your life through Tennessee Men's. Well, I can't, but Tennessee Men's Clinic certainly can. It only takes a telephone call to schedule a consultation today. In that consultation, they'll do some lab work so they can get the labs going to see what's going on inside of your body, what's going on with your blood work. Where are your levels? Men, there are levels you need to know, especially when you reach middle age. And some of you don't know those levels, whether it's blood pressure, whether it's cholesterol or T level. And that T level can impact your energy level in such a way where you feel run down, sluggish. You don't feel like you have the energy to get things done. Don't just chalk this up to middle age. Men, get with the program. Get a consultation today and see how Tennessee Men's Clinic can help you in advance. They might not be able to get you in before Thanksgiving, but they certainly can help you in advance of the Christmas holiday season. Let's do this today. 2 campuses to serve you. One is in Nashville in Midtown. The other's in Franklin. That's Cool Springs. Give a call today to schedule an appointment for either one, or go look up TennesseeMen'sClinic.com for more information. TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. The number, 615-208-9090. 208-9090, Tennessee Men's Clinic.
My name is Crystal Knight. I was actually addicted to meth. I had lost my children, my home, my family. All of it, and I was broken, and I had really nothing left. We've got the staff who show the love of Christ every day. It's the network here helped me get clean and stay clean. I'm coming up on 3 years. I've worked here over 2. This place changed my life. I just hope that they donate to this place, because they'll love it as much as I do. If they just look into it a little bit, it changes lives.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you're invited. Mason Fleming will screen your telephone calls in the absence of Belle Kay, who's doing a bunch of nothing. I mean, that's what I've decided.
Didn't you just say that we were doing a lot behind the scenes here?
I've changed my mind. I reserve the right, Mason.
Understood.
And he's over there. He's, I I think he's on the internet right now and just, watching some YouTube videos or whatever. One way or the other. Did we, normally I say it's episode 460. I failed to do this. Are we on Super Talk TV?
We are on Super Talk TV.
I got on my rant too quickly. Do we have a title of the episode?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. This is the way we do it, Mason. So Bell and I do this way every day. Super Talk TV is up and running. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. You're invited to be a part of Super Talk TV. Just run on over to any of those platforms and join us where you see my ugly face. Episode 460 is up and running, and it is entitled
Breaking Records All Day Yesterday, celebrating the victory today and more on the Matt Murphy Show.
All right. 6173 is accusing Bell of watching porn. No, he's not. Not on the company time. Come on.
No, absolutely not.
The weirdest experience, while I squirrel myself, the weirdest experience I ever had with that, an overnight guy years and years and years ago got fired for looking up pornography on the station computers. But the way that they didn't have like a flag system at the time. The way that he got caught is I don't mean to laugh. He was printing off screenshots of like naked people on the printer, on the black and white printer. And he forgot to get a collection of it, and I was working mornings, and he had left, and I had to print off, some stuff for the show, and I went to the printer, and there's this stack of about 50 pages of naked women.
Did he forget, or was he pranking somebody?
I think he forgot.
I think, yeah. I honestly,
but I don't understand your methodology there.
I don't either.
That's weird.
Yeah. I honestly thought you were going to say that he was watching it on one of the computers or something near the board and accidentally turned it on in the air or something like that.
And it was another guy. There's a lot of these guys in radio. There was another guy that got canned because he kept complaining about pop-ups. Remember the pop-ups that would, I don't guess they still popular.
Yeah, they still
He was complaining about pop-ups. And why do these things keep popping up? Like, people would be in his office and, like, nasty things would pop up on his computer. I don't know why this is happening.
But it goes off your search history.
Exactly why it was happening. So he's like, I don't know why this is happening. And finally, someone in management was like, hey, help Scott out. His name was Scott. Help Scott out. He doesn't know what's going on in his computer. And immediately Scott goes, it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about it. And once they were in there, they're like, the heck have you been doing in here? My goodness.
I don't think you're allowed in office anymore.
No, I think you're going to have to go find work somewhere else. Anyway, I love these types of comments that I just got. Hold on. From 0307. 0307 wanted to know how much did we collect for the mission. I think this figure's right. $243,847. I think that's right.
That was what was declared yesterday before we got the online stuff.
So there you go. So almost $250,000. But then 0307 wanted to know how much we collected, and I told him. And then at 12:23, he says, don't agree. And so I guess when we come back, I can offer a little hot tip. If you want to call in, you're welcome to. But a hot tip on managing the super text line in a way that the host can engage you and understand, because I don't understand what that means. Like, what don't you agree about? You don't agree that we raised money? You don't agree with my take that a nonprofit like the Nashville Rescue Mission should jump the line with regard to building occupancy? Because I certainly will stand by that statement. What don't you agree about? Hey, we can be as agreeable or disagreeable as you want on this Thanksgiving week. It's 12:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy. Defend Systems is an organization dedicated to the premise that while the possibility of workplace violence in your space, in your workplace, or in your church, or in your school is very, very, very low, that number is not zero. That percentage is not zero. And for that reason, Defend Systems exists. They are a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. Their expertise lies in their experience. They've had thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of real-world experience regarding bad guys doing bad things in public spaces. And so they want to impart that level of experience to you and your workforce. They do active shooter response training, rapid response medical training, emergency and intruder action plan, security improvement consultation, and so much more. Defend Systems is such an important component to our community. They've helped so many workplaces, schools, and businesses like yours make sure that you are ready in the unlikely event that something should happen of a violent nature. Hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained with Defend Systems. DefendSystems.com or 615-236-6484. 236-6484 for our good friends at Defend Systems.
A Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA. Which one should we do? A lot of people struggle over this particular decision. And I'll just give you a couple tools to figure out what might be better for you. Think about it this way. Let's say if I had $1,000 that I was thinking about investing, that was income, $1,000 of income. With an IRA, let's say that you're in a 30% tax bracket. Let's say there is such a thing. And you want to put this money in an IRA. You're going to save $300 in taxes. Now, if you go post-tax with like a Roth IRA, this is how much goes into the Roth IRA. Now, let's say that later on down the road, we have this money and it didn't grow at all, just to keep the math really simple. And let's say that at some point in the future, you're in a lower tax bracket, because the way our tax system works is that your first income is taxed at a really low rate, and then you get up into higher rates, 10%, 12%, 22%, and so on and so forth. It gets higher. If you're earning income and you're at that particular tax rate up there, you might want to avoid that tax rate right now and take the income at a later point in time when you're in a lower average tax rate. Now let's say that you're in a 10% bracket down here when you pull the money. How much are you going to pay in taxes? 10% of $1,000 is $100. How much do you get to spend? $900. Well, even though I didn't have growth, I had growth because of the difference between my tax rate here and here. And that's the idea. That's one of the things that we look at. We look at Social Security taxation, income taxation, and a lot of factors that might drive you into higher or lower brackets in the future. If you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If anyone knows the actual address of the Women's and Children's Center, I know it's at I know where it is. I just don't know the actual address. I know it's on Rosa Parks Boulevard. Super text it to me if you don't mind. I have someone just wrote in and said, if you can provide the address for the women's campus, I work for codes and I will check on the delay in inspecting it. Well, let's go. So I will endeavor to find out the physical address, and I will get it to you, anonymous super texter, and we'll see what we can do in that regard. That's pretty cool. BC says, and this is important. This is an important component of this discussion. BC writes in and says, maybe I'm missing something. As a police officer in Nashville, what I see at the mission is, his words, the crap side. The homeless I try to take there don't want to go there. And when I do take someone there, there's always some big thug-looking guy there to, quote, welcome them in. I'm sure I'm missing the positive part of the mission, so please inform me, Matt. Have a great show, my friend. And that's from BC. I have seen the area that you get checked in, and it is on the hard side. And yes, there is a big, at least my experience was, there was a pretty large security guy there, because sometimes when they get people there, those individuals are high on some form of drug, are drunk, or in some other way impaired or incapacitated. Sometimes they are dealing with mental issues, and they're not really certain about those mental issues. Secondarily, and I know you know this, BC, they have no idea what these people have on their persons. And they have to, first and foremost, make sure that the safety of the people at the mission, number one on their minds. They understand that a lot of the people that come into their processing facility, the processing portion of the facility, don't want to be there because, and they are only there because they got nowhere else to go. And the last thing on their mind is getting clean or sober. The last thing on their mind is going through a sobriety or recovery program. So, yeah, a lot of the people that walk in those doors walk right back out of those doors the next day, walk right back out of those doors when they're told that they have to be searched, which they do. They have to be patted down. Their belongings have to be searched. I was talking with one of the guys yesterday on my portion of the Radiothon about that process. He was the head of casework over there and said, look, with fentanyl, the propensity for individuals having fentanyl on their persons, we have to take extra precautions nowadays out of fear that we might be exposed to fentanyl. So that is the hardest portion of the Nashville Rescue Mission, is the processing, especially of male individuals, into the facility. Because sadly, like you say, BC, it is a reality. They don't help everybody. They don't help nearly everybody that comes through those doors. As a matter of fact, oftentimes folks walk in and they walk right back out for whatever reason, for their own reasons, because you truly cannot help those that haven't come to a point in their lives where they want it and they're willing to accept it. But yes, you're right. That is the hardest part of all of it. 6447 writes in and says, okay, Matt, help me understand. If it's bad for the government to just give out resources to people, making more lazy people just sticking their hands out, how is the Nashville Rescue Mission not doing the same thing and making the homeless crisis worse, that is? I genuinely want to understand. The government is not giving out their resources. They're giving out our resources. And those are resources that are pulled from other potential programs or pulled from our pockets, our wallets, and utilized in government ways. The Nashville Rescue Mission is not in the business of giving out handouts. Now, they obviously fulfill immediate needs first. They feed people. They clothe people. They offer people a night's rest or a day's rest that perhaps have not had an appropriate night or day's rest in a long, long time. But then they come to a point where they offer so much more in a way of helping individuals get out of their circumstances, but that involves that person wanting it. And I would suggest that they are better able to do that than any government program that I've ever seen in my life. Because it has to come from a place beyond human beings. It has to come from a faith-based place. And it does. I've got much, much more to say on it, but I don't want David to wait any longer. David is in Nashville, and he joins us now on The Murphy Show. Hey, David, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Sure.
As I shared with you earlier, I just left the Nashville Fairgrounds, where Tracy Lawrence, many people know Tracy Lawrence here. I'm a Wilson County and myself, and he lives in Wilson County. Is down there with a crew of hundreds of people. We started at 5 o'clock this morning, and Tracy and his family and his crew and his team has been working on this for months. This is a big deal, but this is 18th year to cook these. It's called Missions Possible. He has his turkey fry, and today he will cook a total of 1,200 turkeys and deliver down to the mission, and he'll deliver local to a lot of organizations in need in Wilson County as well, because that's where he lives. But I had a chance. He's a personal friend of mine, and I had a chance to ask him, Tracy, why do you do this? He says, man, our homeless is suffering. It's suffering. And I said, man, I really think your legacy is more in country music. And he just, he's very humble about it. I said, you'd be surprised the people that you're touching by this. It's not just Tracy. His wife is there. This started at 5 o'clock. I was there at 5, and his wife was there. He's there. They are very adamant. And I said, what is it about the Nashville Rescue? He said, David, it's Christian based. He said, they don't get anything from our government.
That's right.
Ironically. He said, and he's just frustrated. He said, if I can just do something to make a difference and use his peers and what, Lord's blessed him with, he'll tell you, he's had first chances, second chances, third chances, sometimes people just need a second chance. And at the mission, that's what they do. I know we started off this morning, and the director over the mission, I don't know his name. I apologize for not remembering. He led the morning with prayer, just thanking Tracy for what he did, and just praying over every turkey that we cooked deep fried, that it could go to healing those that just share a piece of that food, and just it's very moving, very humbling, and to see the artists come out and just, it's amazing what artists can do just by sharing their name, how they influence folks. And for somebody like Tracy to use his name and what the Lord's blessed him with in his career to give back to Nashville and something like this, to step into where, geez, our government wouldn't step in and help the mission. It just really speaks volume on people like Tracy and all. And I'm proud to have us play a small part of that this morning, whether I cooked 10 turkeys or 2 turkeys. I was just proud to be a part of that.
Well, a couple of things, David. One, thank you for your part in helping Tracy out this morning. We talked to him last year. For some reason, I didn't set it up this year, but we spoke to Tracy as he was finishing up the final turkey during the afternoon hours. And it is a special time. It is a special event, and he is such a good man, and he is surrounded by good people like you that assist him in making that possible for those who are in need during the holidays. The gentleman that you were referring to is Glenn Cranfield, and we got to speak with Glenn quite a bit yesterday, and I know Glenn was out there. Glenn had a huge day. I mean, he spent 14 or so hours at the mission yesterday, and then he was up bright and early this morning helping out with the turkey fry with Tracy and you and the rest of the gang out there. And Glenn does a fabulous job. Let me say, Tracy Lawrence is exactly what you want in an entertainer or a celebrity that has status in an area, in that he is as humble as the day is long. He is unassuming. He's a good man. He's a great entertainer, but better than his entertainment value is his human value. And he understands, like we try to understand in our small way on this radio station, that if we can't give back, then we're not doing it right, Correct.
I agree 100%. Every word you said is spot on.
So God bless him, and just shake his hand for me. Tell him Matt said thank you from all of us over at Super Talk, and come by and see us sometime. You come by and see us sometime too, David. And it's just it's an honor that you called us and to give us an update. Have y'all wound down? Have y'all fried the last turkey over there?
They'll probably finish up about 5 or so, and then they'll do some cleaning, and then they'll head to the Wild Horse where Tracy puts on a benefit, just kind of a pick and play type thing with your guitar, and he has a couple artists that's going to show up. And from what I understand, there's still tickets available for that. They were not sold out. There's so much going on in Nashville tonight and tomorrow night They had tickets still available at the Wild Horse. So please, if there's some of your listeners out there would like to attend that, it'll be a really good, personable time to kind of see those guys sit up with their guitars and play. And the gentleman you mentioned from the Mission, he'll be there again. And it's just it's a wonderful event. 18 years.
Well, Dave, I wish I could be there. I cannot, but I wish I could because it sounds like a great event. And will you be there?
Absolutely, yeah. I sponsor it with my business, and this is our third year.
Good for you.
And very honored to do that, play a part of that.
You.
But we will be there. My wife will be there. I have a 15-year-old, and she plays a part in this, and we're teaching her, and she really enjoys it. So we're passing it on. And, thanks to Tracy and folks that influence us, it's in our blood now. It's what we want to do for the mission, for our national.
Good for you. And please, just if I beg of you of anything, just thank him from all of the Super Talk family over here. Okay,
I will. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Man, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you, David, for the call. 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN if you'd like to call in or super text in. I'm going to read this super text. We're going to go to break, and I'm going to give you the opportunity because I oftentimes answer these things before you have a chance to. And I'm genuinely curious if there's a good portion of the population out there that feels this way on this Thanksgiving week. I'm not knocking what I'm about to read. I don't think that, it would be easy for me to go after this person. I'm not going to do it. 2700 writes in on the super text line. Matt, I hate to say it, but all this does is make the homeless issue worse. Look at San Francisco, L.A., and other large blue cities. They give out handouts, and that attracts more homeless. People who want to get out of their homeless situation are helped, yeah. But unfortunately, there's more of them who do not want out of their situation, and the police officer who texted in just confirmed that. I have my answer for this, but I'm wondering what yours is. What do you say to a person that says, you know what, places like the Nashville Rescue Mission, you're just making the situation worse by attracting homeless people? 1252, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling wants you to know that they're here for you when you need them. And I have a telephone number, and here's what I would encourage you to do. I haven't done this in a while. Write this number down because you might not need them today. You might not need them tomorrow. But when you do, it is probably somewhat of an emergency. You know what I'm saying? If temperatures are getting down, later on this month, later on this year, into the 30s and even into the 20s and beyond, your heater might go out on you. God forbid it should go out on you during Thanksgiving time or whatever. But when it does, you need to know who to call. You need to have that number handy. So I encourage folks to write it down and maybe put it under a magnet on the side of your fridge somewhere perhaps, or just slip it into that junk drawer. Have it there available to you because Jeff Eddy will be there as soon as you make the call. He's got crews out, and he comes out. I'll tell you, 24/7. They do not charge overtime on the weekends or in the overnight hours because they know that your heater doesn't know what time it is. So why would they do that to you? So never any overtime. They keep their invoices small that way. They also are a great resource for a second opinion when someone tells you that your heater needs to be replaced because that can be incredibly costly, and they understand that with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Now, when it's time, they've got options for you. They got free financing on your next unit available. They're also a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. EfficientHVAC.net. Here's that number. Hope you write it down. 615-784-4424. 784-4424. Write that down. Keep that with you, and when you need it, call Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling.
Today's show happened because I saw a comment. He said, why don't you do something on doves and dove fields and how to find them and things like that. So
Yeah. All right.
good idea. It's past opening day, but like you said, it can work.
Yeah.
Because the season is long. It runs for 90 days, and there's 3 segments, so we're going to cover all that today. Let's rattle off the season. September 1 through September 28th is the first segment of Dove, and then October 14th through November 5th, and then December 8th through January 15th. 15 is your bag limit. So September 1 is opening day, and that's at noon in Tennessee.
September 1st has been one of those days. I mean, you'll see guys. I mean, they'll take off work. Have big cooking and getting together with friends, and it's kind of neat to see.
Yeah.
Historically, it's a huge social event. I'd say the majority of the hunters probably hunt opening day, opening weekend, and then won't pick up a shotgun until next year. So,
we have 2 other segments besides this one. Running in October, and then even all the way through January 15th. There's a lot of opportunity throughout the year.
On our website, tnwildlife.org, on our homepage, you can click the button there to dove hunting info and fields is what the button's titled. It's got all the information on dove hunting. You can find the fields there. So let's talk about how to find a field. You click on Region 2, it pulls up the options that are available, and get down to Bart Camp Barrens, and you see it's open statewide. So the hunting's not over there. There's still opportunity. Even though we had a big opening day, let it die down a little bit and get back in there. You're going to have some good hunting, I think, there, sounds like, anyway.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Several of you wishing to reply to our super texter who says, this isn't helping. He said the National Rescue Mission, that organization isn't helping the situation. That, you're homeless, you're feeding the homeless, giving them a place to sleep. You're just making the situation worse. You're attracting moths to the flame. I want to know how you respond to that. I've got a lot of responses on the super text line, and a lot of folks want to call in, 615-737-9986. I'm thankful for you on this Thanksgiving week edition of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Here comes the news right now.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A deal to free more hostages held by Hamas inching closer to being finalized. President Biden expressing cautious optimism over talks between the U.S., Israel, and Qatar acting as a go-between with Hamas. ABC's Matt Gutman is in Tel Aviv, where families who have been waiting for more than 6 weeks about the fate of their loved ones are protesting and demanding the government act.
It seems much closer. The entire cabinet of the Israeli government is meeting right now in order to approve that hostage deal. The political pressure has worked. Israel's main conception of this war seems to have shifted from destroying Hamas being the first and last priority to releasing the hostages being the top priority, at least right now.
President Biden today meeting with his advisors on ways to stem the flow of fentanyl at the U.S. border. It follows the president's talks with leaders of China and Mexico during the APEC summit last week, where leaders pledged to curb the chemicals in China needed to make the deadly opioid from reaching Mexico and the U.S. border. The race is on to get to your Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving destination. Travel has been ramping up the past few days, and millions are hitting the roads and flying in record numbers. ABC's Trevor Ault is at New York's LaGuardia and says storms, though, could put the brakes on some plans.
On Monday, well over 90% of flights took off on time, far better than the average day, but still more than 3,000 flights were delayed. The FAA anticipates today and tomorrow will be the busiest of the holiday stretch. 50,000 flights are scheduled Wednesday alone, and it is a guarantee at least some of them will be delayed or canceled, so experts stress you should have a plan.
In the latest crackdown of cryptocurrency companies, federal prosecutors and unsealed court documents say the founder and CEO of cryptocurrency exchange Binance pled guilty today to violating U.S. anti-money laundering laws. Other executives from the company could also be implicated. You're listening to ABC News.
Hey there, it's the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN 106, and a good afternoon. Hey, do me a favor, Mason. Just check everything, because we were doing that thing during the break, and that has affected the sound that I'm getting out of my headphones. I don't know if it's coming from you or coming from me. I don't know what it's
It was on me.
Was it on you?
Yep, it's all my fault. Why do I work here?
I don't. Well, you work here because you do a good job, Mason.
I
and
appreciate it.
I'm thankful for you. Man, oh, man. You know, you mentioned something, and I want to reiterate it as we kind of wind down our reflection of yesterday's Radiothon, and we were talking about the effectiveness of the Nashville Rescue Mission. There's been some question about whether or not it helps or it hurts from a homeless perspective. But I failed to double down on something you said last hour, and I want to do that. You mentioned that you were there all day, and you were. Yep. You were working in support all day. And I want to take a moment because I so appreciate the Nashville Rescue Mission. I appreciate the workers there, the volunteers there, everyone that's involved in that process. But I also want to say thank you to every person involved on our side of things that don't get the accolades that they deserve. We, Dan Mandis, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy, and Brian Wilson, get accolades that we don't deserve because we come in, we do probably one of the easier radio shows of the year with regard to what we're doing and the mission behind what we're doing. And the reason that it's one of the easier radio shows that we do is because of people like Mason, because of people like Tanya in sales, Rich in promotions, so many others in promotions, Kirby, who's in engineering, Bell K, Mac Morey, everyone back at home base, Johnny B, and I'm missing a lot of people, and I'm sorry if I miss anyone, but there are people that just make that happen and work behind the scenes. And so while we ducks, thank you. So while we ducks glide seamlessly over the beauty of the top of the surface of the water, those little flippers underneath the water are just paddling as fast and furious as they possibly can and making us look good. And so I appreciate that. Last hour, we had a couple of callers. One, a police officer that said, you know what, I'm trying hard. And I think these are earnest comments. I don't begrudge you your position on this, and I don't want anyone to think that I do. Because there's a lot of debate about how best to handle homeless populations in the various communities in which you see them. And any big city has a homeless population, every single one of them, whether it's Nashville, Tennessee, or where I'm from, or where I spent 20 years, I should say, in Birmingham, Alabama, where I'm from in Augusta, Georgia, or in Atlanta or Charlotte or, certainly San Francisco and some of the bigger cities. They all have homeless populations. And how best to deal with them is a very significant issue in the 21st century. I'm of the contention that while you don't find everyone fits into that square peg or round hole, if you will, square pegs, round holes, you're catching a lot more and you're accomplishing a lot more with the way that Nashville Rescue Mission does their business than in some of the other bluer communities, bluer states, and bluer cities that choose to simply hand out, needles or, cash cards or debit cards and whatnot, payment cards and food, and then be done with it, that don't have a life continuum component to it. But I've said enough. Let's talk to Ed, who's on I-65, who has a thought on all of this. Ed, I'm glad you called in. Welcome.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'm response A to the police officer. First off, you're taking people who don't want to be there. So, yeah, they're not going to have a good outcome 99% of the time. Just a fact of life. The gentleman who said, well, you're helping people with nothing. I've stayed in a few missions in my younger days, and I didn't stay in one where if you stayed more than one day, there weren't rules, regulations, and duties that you had to do. In return for their generosity, I had to do things. I might have to, some of them would find you a job and take 10%. Some of them you had to go to class, but you had to do things or help around the mission, or you were requested to leave. It wasn't a handout in any manner, shape, or form.
Well, I mean, and I guess it's all about the perspective and how you look on it. And I would suggest that we've gotten several people on the super text line, and I don't doubt where they're coming from. I choose not to doubt where they're coming from. But the Nashville Rescue Mission separates those that are truly not only needy but also ready from those that are needy and perhaps not ready. And they understand that they can't help those that aren't ready to try to help themselves. Mike writes in and says, a great man once said, you got to dig through a lot of dirt to find a nugget of gold. Those are wise words, and they're correct if your heart's in the right place. I don't know what the alternative would be if you don't embrace places like the Nashville Rescue Mission that does it the right way. This in from 93.99. I will say this from a law enforcement perspective and working in the community. I've seen Nashville Rescue Mission benefit men and women both. I've also seen reports where men have stolen belongings, being robbed at the rescue center, and worse. Bad can and will happen. Question is, does the good outweigh the bad? I say yes, of course. When you're in those circumstances, some bad happens. You're right about that. This is the way that it should happen, though, not through government fiat, not through politicians ensuring their own reelections by claiming that they're actually do something about the problem by handing out gift cards or claiming that they've, quote, solved the issue when they, in fact, have not. There is no solution to the issue. We will always have poverty. Believe it or not, poverty existed before the Republican Party. I know that if you listen to Democrats, you don't believe that. But it did, and it does, and it will be with us for the rest of time. Betty is next in Hendersonville with a thought on this. Betty, thank you for your call. I'm glad that you held. How are you?
I am doing well, and blessed and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family and all the folks at WTN. You know, I have volunteered I did in the past for a number of years at the Rescue Mission Women's Shelter, and I will say that they are staffed with people who love to help people, who definitely have a calling to do that. But you know what? Neither they nor me nor anyone else can change someone. The only one who can change someone's want-tos is God. And because it is faith-based, the people that go there have that opportunity for the Lord to help them change and transform their lives. That is the crux of the work. And yes, there will always be people who turn their back on it, just as there is out of homelessness. Jesus himself said, the poor you have with you always. He never said, don't give to them, okay? I believe there should be some requirements around it. I don't believe in just going out and handing freebies to everybody on planet Earth. But if you know something about the rescue mission, their primary focus is to help and transform people by giving them tools to overcome addiction, to overcome homelessness, to overcome joblessness. But it starts with a transformed heart and life. So that's my thought for the day, and God bless y'all.
Well, Betty, thank you so much for making that call, and thank you for offering us those thoughts and well wishes, and I wish you and your family a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving as well. Just to put a capper on this conversation, because there are other matters that I want to get into, I'm not going after the police officer that wrote in. I genuinely understand where he's coming from, because he just sees the back of the mission. And when I say that, what I mean is the back of the mission is where you take individuals that do or do not want help, but you recognize that you need to get them, something, whether it's some food or a night's sleep or whatever. It is often that's all they want, or maybe they don't even want that. And the mission knows better than anyone. And I'm not here to defend everything that they do. I mean, I understand that they're going to default to kindness and love, and I'm more of a cynic, right? I don't know that I would do very well. And I recognize this as something that I try to work on in my life. I can be as compassionate as they come, but sometimes I become cynical, and I don't work very well around individuals that can't suck it up, buttercup, and pull themselves up by their bootstraps and do something about the conditions that they have found themselves in because of actions that they have taken. So I don't know that I would function very well in the environment that those that volunteer and work at Nashville Rescue Mission find themselves in. Because there would be a lot of suck it up buttercup for me, you know. But if you walk in the front door, the visitor's door, and you go through, they call it the I had no idea tour. You go through that tour and you see the back end of the cases. You see people that cycle out of some of the learning programs that they put you through and some of the faith-based programs that individuals go through and some of the weekly gatherings and get-togethers of a variety of natures that they conduct on a weekly basis. You see people getting better. And you're not talking to someone that did not have a moment or two in their lives where things could have gone one way or the other. I mean, I was horribly irresponsible in my 20s. I was personally and financially irresponsible in my 20s. And I am ashamed at some of the situations that I found myself in. I had a car repossessed when I was 25 years old. You understand the shame involved in watching them put your car on the back of a truck and taking it away because you didn't make payments? I'm ashamed to say it now, but it's true. And if I did not have safety nets in my life, I mean, I wouldn't suggest that I was anywhere close to homelessness, but I was closer than many. And without those safety nets and without those right decisions at key moments, who knows? So, yes, there is something to be said for a tough love, crack the whip approach to some of these folks. Some of these folks find themselves in a way that they just need love and compassion. And I don't think that should be lost on us. This is a hard world. It can be a hard world, and it can be as hard as we want it to be. And I don't see anything wrong tossing a little love and compassion for those who are willing to grab it and hold it dear. And I think we would do well to remind ourselves that not every homeless person is there because of the decisions that they have made. Now, most of them are there in part because of some decisions that they've made. Some of them are there because of decisions they've made in its entirety. It's completely up to them. For the most part, we can look at ourselves in the mirror and we recognize it is an empowering concept to know that wherever we are in life, for the most part, it's because of decisions that we've made. But not every one of us, and not every decision. And even if I were to say that, all of those people are there and they find themselves homeless, they find themselves on the street, they find themselves panhandling because of their own decision making, and by God, they got to live by that. Even if I believe that. What about the concept of trying to help those that want to help themselves? Recognizing that absent the worst of offenses in society, that every man or woman that genuinely wants to turn their lives around ought to be offered the grace of a second chance and a second opportunity. And those are two different things. Chances and opportunities. There will always be poor people. There will always be homeless people. I do not believe that the answer is to wash your hands of it and say, well, you're just making it worse. I don't believe that. All right, we finish up that. We'll get to your calls. I'll finish up your calls. I don't want to take away from your time. Episode 460 continues on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The gang at Tennessee Men's Clinic offer you a very happy and special Thanksgiving greeting and wish. They hope that your lives are going well. But gentlemen, if you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling the energy level, maybe it was last weekend that you were getting out all of the Christmas decorations and you're like, I can't do this. I got to go take a nap in the house. Or perhaps that's coming up this weekend and you just don't feel it. Whatever the reason, if you're feeling sluggish or run down, let's go ahead and identify some of those potential factors that might lead to you feeling that way and address them at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. It's what they do every single day. They help men understand their numbers. They help those numbers translate into action. They develop an action plan for you, and then they move forward with that said plan. And they can help get you out of the doldrums, get you out of that low energy cycle, and back to life again, no matter what your age might be. Let's identify what's going on with you with a visit to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. You'll meet with a consultant. You'll talk with them. You'll have that consultation. They'll get some lab work done, and they'll find out what is going on in there that we need to know about, that we need to address. TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or call them at 615-208-9090, 208-9090 for the Tennessee Men's Clinic.
My name is Crystal Knight. I was actually addicted to meth. I had lost my children, my home, my family, all of it. And I was broken, and I had really nothing left. We've got the staff who show the love of Christ every day. It's the network here helped me get clean and stay clean. I'm coming up on 3 years. I've worked here over 2. This place changed my life. I just hope that they donate to this place, because they'll love it as much as I do. If they just look into it a little bit, it changes lives.
All right, so coming up after the 1:30 break, you know who Bill Burr is? Comedian Bill Burr was at a fight, and his wife was there with him. This was
I thought you were saying in a fight.
No, not in a fight, at a fight.
Much.
At a fight. And his wife had some unkind gestures that she made toward Donald Trump. Did everybody see this? Donald Trump was there. I think Kid Rock was there.
Interesting.
It was Donald Trump, Kid Rock, Dana White. Is it Dana White? Is he the MMA? That's MMA, right?
I think so. Yeah. Let me look it up real quick.
Okay. Yeah, I hope I'm right. I got some of the deets over here that I can get to. Anyway, the upshot, here's the tease. She shot the double-fingered salute to Donald Trump, and I'm going to defend her, and I'm going to defend Bill Burr right after the bottom of the hour, because I think they merit some defense.
Dana White, though.
Dana White, thank you very much. He's the president and head honcho over there at the MMA, whatever it's called.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, it's not MMA. He's president of the UFC.
UFC. Thank you so much. Yeah. And yes, I bet we'll be inundated with super text as we speak on that matter. Secondarily, I have an update on where we are from a permitting standpoint. I hope that people over at the Nashville Rescue Mission are listening. So we had an individual that works in codes that was going to check on it anonymously for us, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And so we got the address, and we got them the address of the facility that is set to open. That's 1716 Rosa Parks Boulevard. and I'm being told that the temporary use order was just requested yesterday. An inspector went out today to check. So today, a temporary use was approved. Now the contractor just needs to request the temporary use and occupancy letter, and when that is issued, they can open. It's temporary because there are still sub-inspections needed, like gas and mechanical, but they can open with the temporary letter. It's all up to the contractor to request these things at this point. And he says, I put a note in the system to issue the letter ASAP when it's requested by the contractor. So if you're listening over at the Nashville Rescue Mission, tell your contractor to request this letter right now, and we'll get it open.
That's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely cool. So there you go. That's where we are. So according to my inside source in the codes department, the temporary use was approved, but they need a letter of occupancy, a temporary letter of occupancy to be approved, and the contractor has to request that specifically. And once they do, there is a note to expedite that and get it approved. So there you go. That makes me feel good about Thanksgiving week. Fred is next in Greenbrier. Hey, Fred, how are you?
Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Fred. Thank you for calling in.
To you and all the staff. Opinions are like rear ends. Everybody has one. I've been supporting the union for many years and will continue to do so because I think it's the right thing to do. Nothing is perfect. I'm sure some bad things happen there, but the good so far overcomes anything bad that's come out of there, in my opinion. And I believe in giving people a hand up and not a handout like the government does. So
yes, sir.
That's all I'm going to say about it, and I think they do a great job. And whether or not it helps the homeless population, I can't see how it doesn't help in some way. And thanks again, and y'all have a happy Thanksgiving.
Well, God bless you, Fred. I mean, look, obviously, you're not helping everybody, and you can't help those that are not ready, whether they've not hit rock bottom yet or for whatever reason, they can't find their way out of their situation. And for some, they desperately want to, and they can't. Without that willingness, your mission is difficult. But the mission continues. And let me tell you, if you've got 100 people and you find paths for 10 of them, is that not good? And I hope the percentages are a lot better than that. But if you have 100 people that are suffering and you find a way to alleviate suffering through the kindness and generosity of the people in our community for 20 of those folks or for 30 of those folks, and then on the backside of that, out of the 100, 20 or 30 of them become good and, I won't even say good, productive members of our community, and they begin contributing. I can't tell you, in 2 years, the number of people I've spoken with at the mission who go back on a regular basis and volunteer at the mission who were a part of the mission on the other side of the table. I spoke to a gentleman by the name of Norris who went into the mission, addicted to drugs, found God, found a path out of his addiction, reconnected with his family. I was sitting in a conference room talking with him about a month or so ago. And this is a proud, grown man who broke down in tears talking about reconnecting with his daughter. And he began crying when he told me how proud he was when his daughter told him that she trusted him again. Those moments don't exist without the Nashville Rescue. And we talked about plenty about this yesterday, and I won't belabor it today, but just responding to a few of the comments. Joe is next as a truck. He's a truck driver on the road. What's up, Joe?
Not much, Matt. I just want to say thank you to everybody at WTN, everybody, the whole crew, because I heard yesterday, I heard you tell a little story about a little old lady and a little old man that gave 3 bottles of water in their last bit of change. And I texted you and asked you how much it would cost to get you and Pamela Furr to wear jerseys and sing Rocky Top. And then I stopped because you told me $1,000. Well, I didn't have $1,000. but I counted my change cup, and it was 107.42, and you hadn't mentioned that we could pay a little bit at a time. So I called and I did that, but I've given you a hard time a lot along the way with my little, when you say the super text line 2213, that's me. Anyways, I had an opportunity yesterday to give for the first time since my wife passed away, and one of her things was always, because we had 2 daughters that ended up addicted in a bad way. And Crystal's story, the girl I talked to on the phone, Heidi, when I called in, and they were running back and forth talking to you about singing the song and wearing the jersey, then they finally told me that I could give it the same amount for the rest of the year. And my wife and the Lord spoke to me right then and said, give that amount every month for the rest of the year. So that's what I did, 107.42. And the long and short of it is, I wouldn't have had that opportunity without you guys doing what you do. But if it changes one person's life, how could it be wrong to try to help if it just changes one person's life along the way? It might not change everybody. It might not help everybody. But I think what y'all are doing, that's seeing all the babble that we listen to on a daily basis on the radio program, one way or the other. That's putting it to work right there. That's doing something.
God bless you,
I want to
Joe.
tell y'all how much I appreciate you guys for what you do. And you don't have that jersey on today, and you made a mockery of the Rocky Top song.
I did, Joe. Come on. No, look. Here's what I would say.
Singing the soda pop part of it. Come on.
Hold on. Before you go anywhere, because you're gonna have to sit here and take this. You're gonna have to take me saying thank you, and God bless your wife. I'm so sorry to hear that you lost her. But what a special tribute that you've offered for her, and that is an incredible story. It breaks me up. It gets me all squishy inside, Joe. But here's what I would suggest. I'll do it. I mean, I'll wear the jersey and I'll sing the song. You've done so much good over the last 24 hours. Why would you make people suffer by forcing them to listen to me sing? I mean, that's my question, Joe.
My dad was from Georgia, so I was a Georgia Bulldog fan until I realized, hey, I was born in Tennessee, and that's where people follow. And then I started following Tennessee. Me and my dad would go back and forth about it. But he was a dog fan.
Well, your dad was a smart man, Joe. Smart man.
Oh, well, see, I had that ugga all throwed up on. Look here. And it gives me fleas almost. It makes my skin crawl. No, I actually wore a Georgia hat while I was in the Navy and stuff. So I just love giving you a hard time. I know you're competitive in that way, and it's fun. That's
good
what
for you.
football's supposed to be about.
That's what it's all about. Joe, before I have to let you go, I got one final question.
Yes, sir.
What was your wife's first name?
It was Kathy.
She was Kathy.
Yep.
She's
still with us, bro. We only have to die we only have to die in this lifetime physically. She's spiritually still with me everywhere I go.
Well, I was about to say that she sure is proud of you right now. Kathy is.
Shoot, I'm proud. I was proud of her, and I'm proud of all you guys. Because, like I say, yesterday I got to see you guys, got to hear you guys doing the work that we've all talked about. Like I say, it was putting the words to action, and that's what I like to see is when people start to march to the tune that they're piping off. And if you're just giving things lip service all the time, then you're really not getting anything done. You're not making a change, and it changed me yesterday. It gives me hope to see an organization like y'all's out here believing in the Lord, believing in our country, calling out I don't agree with everything you guys say on a daily basis, but when you find that common ground, get together and lock arms, and when you got 2 or 3 people, you can't be broken that way.
Oh, man, that's a great way to put a cap on the conversation. Joe, God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you guys.
I know it's easy for me to say now, but GBO, Joe. GBO.
Go Vols.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. What a great testimony. What a great way to kind of put a cap on everything that happened yesterday and the resulting conversation today. 1:35, we'll get into some other matters in a moment, to include Donald Trump doing quite well on Univision and the Bill Burr story. That's on the way.
Today's show happened because I saw a comment. He said, why don't you do something on doves and dove fields and how to find them and things like that. So
all right.
Good idea. It's past the opening day. But like you said, it can work.
Yeah.
Because the season is long. It runs for 90 days and there's 3 segments. So we're going to cover all that today. Let's rattle off the season. September 1 through September 28th is the first segment of Dove. And then October 14th through November 5th. And then December 8th through January 15th. 15 is your bag limit. So September 1 is opening day, and that's at noon in Tennessee.
September 1st has been one of those days. I mean, you'll see guys. I mean, they'll take off work. Have big cooking and getting together with friends, and it's kind of neat to see.
Yeah.
Historically, it's a huge social event. I'd say the majority of the hunters probably hunt opening day, opening weekend, and then won't pick up a shotgun until next year. So,
we have 2 other segments besides this one. Running in October, and then even all the way through January 15th. There's a lot of opportunity throughout the year.
On our website, tnwildlife.org, on our homepage, you can click the button there to dove hunting, info, and fields is what the button's titled. It's got all the information on dove hunting. You can find the fields there. So let's talk about how to find a field. You click on Region 2, it pulls up the options that are available, and get down to Bart Camp Barrens, and you see it's open statewide. So the hunting's not over there. There's still opportunity. Even though we had a big opening day, let it die down a little bit and get back in there. You're going to have some good hunting, I think, there, sounds like, anyway.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN 140. Good afternoon. Welcome back. Tuesday edition of the Matt Murphy radio portion of the broadcast day in progress. Nashville's news and talk station is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Information fueled and opinion driven. Our episode 460 ongoing. It's Thanksgiving week. Any point during the week, you can call in with your Thanksgiving wishes. We, as a matter of fact, invite you to do so. So, I got to tell you, I'm in the free speech business. And I believe in the ability of individuals to speak freely so long as you don't put others in direct harm's way in doing so in a fashion of your choosing. I believe in a country that's big enough and believes in liberty enough where you get to say things that other people don't like. In this era of woke and cancel culture, it occurs to me that maybe we see too many conservative people or even libertarian-minded people using the tactics of the left in an attempt to shut the left down. And I'm going to give you the example of Bud Light. And this might not be a popular opinion with some of you, but I'd never drank Bud Light because I thought it was crappy beer. I'm never going to drink Bud Light on any regular basis. Now, if I'm at a gathering and all they have is Bud Light and I fashion myself a beer, maybe I'll have one, but I have zero plan. I don't know. I cannot tell you the last time I willingly purchased a Bud Light. I really can't. I mean, I don't know that I've ever willingly purchased a Bud Light. There was a time where I drank Natty Light when money was tight. The Beast. I've had some of that before. And if you know, you know. When Bud Light allowed this person that none of us had ever heard of make a decision to honor some trans person that none of us had ever heard of, we got rightly annoyed. Even more so and more egregious to me was the idea that they then doubled down on it by saying that, Bud Light drinkers need to change the way they think, that they're too frat boyish. I mean, you've heard all the comments. I don't need to relitigate the things that caused the uproar and the boycott. Well, people pushed back. Sales went down by 30%. I'm not here to tell you what to do moving forward because you do you. But I don't engage in boycotts unless they are of a personal nature. Meaning I will choose not to do business with a company based on their stands politically and otherwise. If a company tells me that they don't want my business, then I listen. And sometimes I find myself relating that to you on the radio show, but you don't find me, boycott Target and boycott this company and boycott. I'll tell you what's going on, and you're grown. In a society that believes in freedom and liberty in the way that we do, you get to make your own decisions. And if Target suffers as a result, so be it. So when the Dixie Chicks, I called them the Dixie Chicks. What are you going to do about it? When the Dixie Chicks, they'll always be the Dixie Chicks to me. When they had what they had to say, remember back in the day, you're too young for this, Mason, when they spoke out against George W. Bush, and they were overseas doing a concert, and they said, well, say this, George W. Bush, he's not our president. And they got a little pushback on that. And then they doubled down on it and said their fans were stupid, and they started mouthing off about country music fans. And country music responded. And, before you know it, they changed their name. I never boycotted them. But I never really listened to them anyway. So, at some point, you have to make decisions about where you spend your money and who you advertise with, who you advertise with. I mean, you have to make all those decisions. Do I believe that Bud Light has paid their comeuppance regarding that? Sure, maybe. I don't know. You can individually decide all of that on your own. I'm just here to report to you what's going on. I'll say this. Apparently, Donald Trump has gotten over it, and Kid Rock has gotten over it. And I suppose John Rich, I think, is still selling Bud Light in his shop. He might not be advertising it. Kid Rock never stopped selling Bud Light downtown on Broadway. His bar didn't. Now, you know what they did, a lot of them? they pulled, all of the little stuff that you see in a bar, like napkin holders, logoed napkin holders, and logoed koozies, and logoed this and logoed that, and table toppers, and all of those things, and menu holders. All of that crap that said Bud Light, they got that out of there and replaced it with Busch, owned by the same company, by the way. They're not dumb. They don't want to piss you off. They want you to drink. So the other night when I'm watching this clip from the UCF fight, a UCF event in New York City, you see Bud Light all over the joint because Dana White has entered into an agreement with Bud Light. Kid Rock was there. The former president of the United States was there, Donald Trump. And Bill Burr was there. He's a comedian. So comedian Bill Burr was there with his wife. His wife is named Nia Hill. She is no fan of Trump. So Trump comes in where all this Bud Light paraphernalia is being presented. And once again, Kid Rock, I guess, spoke to this on Hannity's show at some point and indicated, look, at some point I'm over it. I'm done with it. I never said boycott Bud Light. I just said bleep Bud Light. And that's true. I mean, technically he's right. Kid Rock kind of took up my attitude. I'm not telling anybody else what to do, but I'm like on Bud Light. Oh, I just if you saw that on camera, I'm sorry. I forget that I'm on camera sometimes, and I gave the camera the old, my bad. My bad.
But they know it's not towards them.
Yeah, it's not towards you. I'm doing that to Bud Light. So speaking of the middle finger salute, when Donald Trump came in with Dana White and Kid Rock and some others, he was wildly applauded at the event in New York City. Well, comedian Bill Burr was there, and I don't know, Burr's politics probably leans left. I don't know. I don't care. He seems like a pretty funny guy to me. I enjoy Bill Burr's comedy. It's angry white guy comedy, and I like it. Bill Burr's wife was spotted giving Donald Trump the double-barreled one-finger salute at the UCF event. And a lot of the supporters of Donald Trump got mad about it. He had just walked into huge cheers and applause, but Hill was not as keen. And he spoke to this on the Rich Eisen show. Referencing the moment, Rich Eisen asked him, how's your wife's hands doing these days? I don't have this clip because I don't know if I'm allowed to play it, but I'll just relate what he said. He said, they're fantastic. I love my wife. You know where I stand with her. The guy walked into the arena. Everybody's cheering him. She gave him the finger. Nobody got arrested. That's why this country's great. Everybody expressed themselves. Can't we all be adults? I don't know about you, but I came here to go to the fights. I didn't know I was going to the Republican National Convention, Burr said. Burr went on to say that Trump fans who took shots at President Biden can't have it both ways. Quote, those Trump guys are always like, you're snowflakes, F your feelings, and all of that. But then when you make fun of Trump, they're like, oh, my God, that's so disrespectful. But they're over there saying, F Joe Biden, you can't have it both ways. Hill has been strongly critical of Trump on social media, yada, 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 all of that. And here's what I will say. I agree with this. I think sometimes people want to have it one way and not the other way. In a freedom-loving society, you are allowed to openly express your opinion about your political leaders and your thoughts and feelings about said political leaders, but I'm also allowed to respond in my own way. So if I make a decision based on Bill Burr's politics not to go to one of his shows, so be it. What I don't like and what I fight back against is this concept of exterior organizations going after, groups of people going after larger corporations or organizations because they demand those corporations or organizations associate with or identify with only those organizations that are approved by these groups of people. And I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong when the left does it, and it's wrong when the right does it. There's a difference in my mind making you aware of what Target is doing when they put their pride display up in front and center. It's one thing for me to say, hey, this is happening just to make you aware. Just want to make sure that you know if you take your kids into this shop that you might have to walk by the tuckable bikini underpants or whatever the hell they are. There's a difference between that and taking the next step and saying that you're not, did I say UCF? I'm sorry, UFC. I meant UFC. 0636, thank you. UFC, not UCF. My bad. UCF is it's a school down in Florida, now coached by, is that Gus Malzahn down there now?
I think so.
I think that's right. I think I'm right in that. My bad. Anyway, the point is, it's not too fine of a line between informing you as to what's going on, tell you how I react to that situation, get your thoughts on how you react to that situation, and then jumping to, you're a bad American if you watch Disney, or you're a bad American if you shop at Target. Really? What about America is a place that believes in freedom enough that companies can exist that might prioritize things that are against your personal values and you choose not to shop there, but that doesn't mean that you have to destroy them. Am I the wrong guy for saying that? Am I wrong for saying this? I think Bill Burr is exactly right. We need to grow a pair. If we're going to laugh our butts off at the age of Joe Biden, we have to recognize that people in America can laugh at Donald Trump too, and that's okay. That's what built this country, is a freedom to express ourselves openly and freely. I'm in the free speech business. That's what I do. For right or wrong, for better or worse, richer or poorer, more poorer, sickness and in health. It's 152 on, it's not a marriage, but it feels that way sometimes. 152 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. On Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, somebody tell Mac Morey that his Chris Hand promo stinks. Anyway, I'll tell you what doesn't stink. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic. I only say that because Mac's back there and I know he can hear me. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief, they don't stink. They help alleviate your pain. And let me tell you, they do a great job at it as well. I promise you, folks, if you want to get pain relief without the need for needles, without the need for pills, without the need for surgery or the consideration for surgery, the way to do it is the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. For well in excess of 30 years, Dr. Gill has developed, he created a team of experts, and he understood that he wanted to build his practice in a way where a team of doctors is there for you on a regular basis, and they have well over 100 years experience in the practice, right? So you've got, Dr. Gill, who founded the practice, Dr. Wendy, Dr. Dominic, Dr. V, the rest of the crew. They're there to serve. And they know what they're doing when it comes to chiropractic care. Whether it's the spinal decompression therapy that Dr. Gill brought so many years ago to Middle Tennessee, or the brand new red light therapy and Class 5 laser system that they currently have to alleviate inflammation and swelling in the body, they can help alleviate your pain, and they do so on a regular basis. Say pain relief when you call and make an appointment today, and you'll get a special opportunity, a discount, if you will. 615-882-4838, 882-4838, the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. Anywhere in the sound of my voice, well worth the drive to Franklin, Tennessee.
A Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA. Which one should we do? A lot of people struggle over this particular decision. And I'll just give you a couple tools to figure out what might be better for you. Think about it this way. Let's say if I had $1,000 that I was thinking about investing, that was income, $1,000 of income. With an IRA, let's say that you're in a 30% tax bracket. Let's say there is such a thing. And you want to put this money in an IRA. You're going to save $300 in taxes. Now, if you go post-tax with like a Roth IRA, this is how much goes into the Roth IRA. Now, let's say that later on down the road, we have this money and it didn't grow at all, just to keep the math really simple. And let's say that at some point in the future, you're in a lower tax bracket, because the way our tax system works is that your first income is taxed at a really low rate, and then you get up into higher rates, 10%, 12%, 22%, and so on and so forth. It gets higher. If you're earning income and you're at that particular tax rate up there, you might want to avoid that tax rate right now and take the income at a later point in time when you're in a lower average tax rate. Now let's say that you're in a 10% bracket down here when you pull the money. How much are you going to pay in taxes? 10% of $1,000 is $100. How much do you get to spend? $900. Well, even though I didn't have growth, I had growth because of the difference between my tax rate here and here. And that's the idea. That's one of the things that we look at. We look at Social Security taxation, income taxation, and a lot of factors that might drive you in a higher or lower brackets in the future. If you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and...
A Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA. Which one should we do?
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
It's 2 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Currently 57 degrees and a cloudy afternoon in Music City. Expecting a slight chance of showers the rest of tonight, but it should clear up tomorrow and for Turkey Day. Coming weather forecast 2 minutes away. Today, the first big day of the holiday travel weekend, meaning long lines at airports, and at the same time, a massive storm system working its way across the country, creating some flight cancellations and delays. Jason Lee is at Los Angeles International Airport and says airlines are trying to be more proactive this year.
Southwest is focusing on improving their technology when it comes to rebooking crews, because as you remember from last year, crews who faced delays, it affected their other flights. So ultimately, all the passengers were stuck at the airport. We're seeing United work on their app, so that way if passengers are facing delays, they can just go in and rebook themselves. So we're just seeing airlines try to prevent problems before they happen.
And in Nashville, BNA says they expect 35,000 people through the airport during this holiday. In Tennessee, Black Friday coming, and retailers are facing the threat of a new kind of shoplifting. Several high-end stores in Nashville recently fell victim to thieves rushing in and grabbing and then running away with as much merchandise as they can hold. The Tennessean says police will be beefing up patrols and have installed sky cameras to help identify theft suspects. Right now, in the nation's capital, President Biden held a meeting today with senior members of his administration to follow up on gains he says his administration has made on combating the illegal import and distribution of fentanyl. The president struck a deal last week with the presidents of China and Mexico to crack down on the illegal trade of fentanyl precursor chemicals used to make the potentially deadly drug. Karen Travers.
President Biden said he brought together senior administration officials to keep building on the momentum of his meetings last week with the leaders of China and Mexico. After the president's meeting with President Xi, the White House announced the U.S. and China will work together on a new effort to target Chinese companies that are making the chemicals for fentanyl. He said China has already taken steps to shut down companies dealing in the illicit trade of these precursor chemicals.
We're not just going to trust that this is happening. We have to verify it, and that's going to save lives, we believe.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy, and the Tennessean describes Steve Abramowitz in the Mill Creek View Tennessee podcast as a conservative advocacy podcast. I have no idea if they mean that as a compliment or not, but for me, it certainly is. Steve always has an interesting guest making a positive change in our community. He loves the truth, and he presents that on a regular basis in the Mill Creek View podcast. They have quotes of the day. They have a popular Steve and Steve segment. They have artists and authors, cultural touchstones, entertainment figures, sports figures, and, of course, they talk about politics. They're frequently the number one show on politics on Podomatic. They're found on a variety of podcast platforms, Deezer, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, all of your favorite podcast apps. You can find Mill Creek View. And if you can't get enough of Mill Creek View, why not go over to the Mill Creek View newspaper, if you will. It's an online presentation, mcview.us. That's mcview.us, and that's also where you can find the podcast page where all of the podcasts are archived, including mine. That's right, yours truly was interviewed by Steve at Mill Creek View. Go to mcview.us for more information, and I encourage you to listen in to the Mill Creek View podcast. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN 206, our final hour on this Tuesday edition. And tomorrow is Wednesday Well, it's a First Amendment Freestyle Friday on Wednesday, as it's our last day of the week. And I know a lot of folks, Bell K included, and others are working hard. I know Mac Morey's back there working hard for Chris Hand, making sure that he's got some programming that is pleasing to your ears on Thursday and Friday. That's tough. I mean, it's tougher for Bell than it is for Mac, but it's pretty tough as it was. So
also programming that's pleasing to listen to today, that's just correct and timed out. I got to do that too.
That's true. There you go. Did you do something weird?
I did something
wait, no, you
weird.
did do something weird.
Yeah, I did something weird.
You did do something on the
I've
on your promo.
Yeah.
Your promo kind of
just done. Nope.
WTN. I just got this note. This is pretty good for me. I don't look. This is absurd and ridiculous, and I shouldn't even bring it up. But I'm going to say thank you to 5993. Thank you to 5993. Thank you to 5993.
Ooh, 3 thank yous.
I just wanted, and this means a lot to me, I just wanted to say that at first I did not care for Matt Murphy. But over time, he's become my favorite host on the station. I'm not exaggerating. I was a strong disliker, but you have won me over. Thank you, 5993. I like to consider
nice.
I like to consider myself very much like a fungus. You're probably not happy when you see that I'm around, but give me time and I'll win you over. I'll take over your souls.
I was about to say, what fungus is winning me over?
Well, you just wait. Just wait. Before you know it, it's all over your face. Have you been, Mac? You're a sports fan. I'm not here to talk football on the pro level. I'm not. No, I'm not going to do that to you. I'll let Chris Hand. Far be it from me to get in the way of your host giving you hell over your team losing. I wouldn't do that.
I know it.
Have you been following the Harbaugh stuff?
Oh, yeah, with Michigan and this whole sign stealing.
Where are you on this?
First off, I think it's dumb that this is a thing because in high school, and even in high school and in NFL, there's mics that coaches on the sideline and in the booths have to go speak to their quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. So there's no sign, communication happening. There's just talking.
You can relate the play to the quarterback.
Yes.
Right in his head. And then the quarterback can relate it to the rest of the team, and you don't have to look over to the sidelines for a sign.
You don't have to have a sign of Madonna next to Elmo with. You don't have to have any of that. You just play the sport. For some reason,
Elmo want to know why she got brass brassiere.
Sorry.
So I think that's the first dumb thing. And then I think sign stealing has been a thing in football
I'm
forever.
sorry, I'm having a difficult time listening to you right now because I'm thinking of things that Elmo would say to Madonna.
What is virgin?
I messed up.
Yeah, you did. And anyway, so but still, it to me is sort of like I compare it to NASCAR to a certain degree that everyone in NASCAR knows that every team in NASCAR is looking for where the loopholes are to get advantage.
Yes.
But they also know where the lines are. And I think it crosses a line to send people to other games for the express purpose of stealing or recording signs so you can steal them so that in future contests with your team, you have a competitive advantage.
In college, you're correct. Those lines have been pretty, I guess, clearly stated. But again, another weird thing to me, because in the NFL, we have paid people to do that job that you just said. They are paid. They say hello to the opposing team's people and say, hey, they set up the iPad in the booth. They go. Now, in practices, of course not. But that is a person that does that for every NFL organization.
Yeah, but once again, the understanding is that I know that they're there.
Yes, 100%.
So
100%.
I adjust accordingly, and I don't have nearly the verbal or actual cues going on that they could steal because I got the headset thing going on.
Yeah.
All right, so
my qualm's more with the way college does what they do. But you're correct. I think what Michigan, what John Harbaugh was – had authority over was completely illegal and wrong. Yeah.
Well, and he's claiming he didn't know, which is that's garbage.
Bravo, Sierra.
It's just baloney. And I just don't. I don't care for the way that he's handled himself. The reason I bring any of this up is not to necessarily talk sports, but I want to play you a clip. This guy does not get the room. Like he called himself we ought to be America's team. He said that last week.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
Yep.
Well, he was asked, it is a big rivalry week. One of the biggest rivalries in sports, certainly one of the biggest rivalries in college sports. I would suggest Auburn, Alabama is probably right up there with it. But many in the North would suggest Michigan and Ohio State is the biggest college rivalry ever. And I don't take any umbrage with it.
I got no problem.
So I understand you're dealing with your rival. Listen to this question and answer from Jim Harbaugh about how hard is it to be a little kind and gracious, especially when you're under fire, right? He's not allowed on the sidelines right now. And by the way, the reason that I think Michigan agreed to that from the Big Ten,
100%,
because they absolutely knew what the Big Ten was about to find out.
Yes.
If they challenged the Big Ten in court, the Big Ten would have the ability to get discovery going, and they would find out things that I don't think Jim Harbaugh or any of Michigan want them to find out.
Yes, they said, okay, we'll do the 3-game suspension. Okay, sorry.
So
no worries.
This will be over if we do the 3 games? Okay, then cool, we'll do the 3 games. So he's sitting off on the sidelines, but he's allowed to be with the team during the week. So he was asked about his level of respect for Ohio State. Now, before you hear him, I'll just let you. I don't know.
Jim, this rivalry has always been heated, of course. It seems like there's always been a fair level of respect between the coaches. It's hard to determine what that is right now. What would you say is your respect level for Ryan Day and their staff?
Okay. Always a heated rivalry, Coach. Tough game, big rivalry. But there's always been a level of respect for the opposing team and the coaches. How would you answer this question, Maury?
This is a embattled history. We've fought such tough games, and Ohio State has a heck of a program, and they train their guys every day just like we do. And I can't wait to fight it out on the gridiron. This season has built up to an awesome matchup.
There you go. That's it.
That's it.
Jim Harbaugh couldn't manage it.
It's all about our preparation for Ohio. The days, the minutes, the hours, everything leading up to this game. That's where our focus is. Preparing ourselves and planning, gonna practice and then execute. So, anything else is irrelevant. When you get into this kind of big game week.
Whatever.
What is wrong with you?
Come on.
Why don't you just show that you're a decent human being?
That was a layup of a question.
Everything about it's everything. It's about us. What? He asked you about your level of respect for the opposing. All you've got to say is, obviously, I've got great respect for Coach Day and that team. They're a formidable opponent. They come in undefeated. That means something in and of itself, no matter what the helmet says. But the fact that it is our chief rival, you don't even have to say their name if that's some stupid thing that you continue to do. But, of course we got every level of respect. They're out there every day. They're battling every day. They're undefeated, and we're going out there to get after it. How hard is that? How hard is it to show that you're not just a complete a-hole?
Especially when reporters could ask a lot tougher questions of you right now. They absolutely could go for the throat. Hey, remember 3 years ago, Coach Harbaugh, when you almost got fired because of your inability to beat this team that you're about to face?
Right, until coincidentally enough, you started sealing signs that you claim you don't know about, and then suddenly you became a lot better. You know that? Come on, man.
That's garbage, man.
Oh,
I've always had kind of a thing against him. I can't. I don't know. I don't like him.
It's not hard to be a decent human being.
No.
And to say the right things. And I'll say this, and I know he's my beloved Kirby Smart, but I've seen Heupel. Good coaches understand that you show every respect. If you want to see Nick Saban or Kirby Smart or even anybody get ticked off, ask a question that suggests disrespect for who they're about to play.
100%.
Like, how dare you? If you had asked Nick Saban about Auburn prior to UT Chattanooga, do you know how he would have gone off?
That is a great point.
How dare you disrespect that? This is a team that's coming to play, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Because that's how they motivate their team. This dude, it's about us. about the other team. You know what? I hate Ohio State. And I hate Ryan Day.
Yeah.
And I hope they dump truck Michigan on Saturday. And by the way, does anybody else feel like that Jim Harbaugh with his thick Coke bottle glasses is looking more and more like Joe Paterno every day? I mean, I'm just asking. I'm not saying. I'm just, look at him. It's like he's shrinking. He's got these big eyes, and his eyes are bigger than they really are. Loser. And by the way, we would have skull drug you last year, just like we did TCU. So there, I gave a little.
Oh, there it is. There's the genesis of this whole
all right,
topic.
and that's sports radio and the talk radio station. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's 2:17. That I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't thinking improperly about my frustration when I saw that clip run through, and I'm like, what is this guy? What is he smoking?
No, I think that's spot on, man.
I mean, just it doesn't take a lot to be a decent person.
That's
and
coach speak.
Yeah.
Generic.
All you got to say is we got all the. That answer would not bother me so much if he had just said, "We have all the respect in the world for the team across the field, but this is about our team."
About us, our
but you couldn't even
preparation.
manage to do that.
Yeah, you got to squeeze in that just one. Hey, we respect them, and you should. By the way, losing record against them as a head coach, you should respect them. You should do that.
Learning the opposing team's sign. This is a note from Super Text Line. Learning the opposing team's signs is a strategic move. It's nothing new. What is new is what Michigan was doing, which is, I think, expressly against the rules. It is expressly against the rules to pay someone from your staff to go to opposing teams' games and record their games for the purpose of figuring out what their signs are. If you're on the sidelines and you want to try to figure out if certain signs, if the Madonna Elmo sign means a certain thing, I don't know what that would be, but, have at it during the game. But doing so by sending someone to scout other games is, I think, expressly forbidden by college football, right? Is that not correct? That it's expressly forbidden for you, if you're the coach of the University of Tennessee, you can't send someone with recording devices to Georgia's football game that is 2 weeks before yours and record that. You're not allowed to do that.
No, you can't do that.
So it's one thing to, during the game, have somebody going, oh, I think this means this or that means that. It's another thing to do what Harbaugh was doing. And I don't think it's a coincidence at all that Harbaugh wasn't doing so well against his better competition. Yeah. And then conveniently, when he hires this dude and this dude starts doing all of this that he says he has no idea what was going on, suddenly he gets a lot better. I mean, and I understand you still have to execute, but you cannot tell me.
Come on, man.
If you got 20 seconds, that 20 or 15 seconds for the defense to understand what's about to happen out of that form. Come on.
Oh, man. Yeah, if you know, okay, well, we've got a couple slants out of these signs. We know there's these routes. Dude.
Yeah.
You've won the play.
You can't convince me otherwise. And 1527 says he sounds like Bill Belichick. Nah, he said way too many words.
That's
Bill
true.
Belichick would not have said nearly as many.
It would have been much more grunting.
I know, right. Every answer that Bill Belichick's ever got given in a press conference is, I don't know. What do you think?
Turns it back on them somehow.
I'm just trying. You know what? I will say, though, I kind of miss the days of Bear Bryant. You ever seen that clip with Bear Bryant with the female reporter on the side of the field?
Oh, gosh. No, I haven't.
Have you not?
No, I need to look this up.
Hold on. I got to look. Let me see if I can find it. So Bear Bryant was of a different era, as we all know. And hold on, Bear Bryant, sideline reporter. Here we go.
Oh, you got it?
Bear Bryant he's got zero time. Oh, this is so good. You have to understand, Bear Bryant was from a different era.
Yeah, this is the 80s.
Girls, women being on the sidelines, probably a little something new to coach, okay? So you better come at him with an informed question.
We're at halftime at Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. Auburn leading Alabama 14-13. Here is Ann Simon with Coach Paul Bryant.
Sports, this man needs no introduction. Coach Paul Bear Bryant. Coach Keith Jackson is going to us during the
It's hard to hear.
why you elected to go with Ken Coley at quarterback instead of Walter Lewis.
He had changed it. It's a little bit difficult to hear the one that I pulled up. She asked him why he changed quarterbacks and put in another quarterback.
Why you elected to go with Ken Coley at quarterback instead of Walter Lewis.
Trying to win the game. Everything I do is trying to win the game.
No reason for it, just for that.
Trying to win the game.
Now, what about
Just go. If you can't understand what he's saying, just go and look this up for yourself. She goes, well, why did you change quarterback? I'm trying to win the game. Everything I do is trying to win the game. So no other reason for it? I'm trying to win the game. Everything I do.
Guys, who I play, I'm trying to win the game.
what about the turnover situation? There was a turnover there that really.
Turnover caused us 2 touchdowns.
And what would you elect to do in the second half that may change that? You're having problems with turnovers all year long.
Well, we sure have, and we're going to try to not turn over this time. We're going to try to receive the football, take the touchdown.
All right, Coach, thank you.
He was not very pleased. I apologize for the poor audio quality. She said, why did you change quarterback? I'm trying to win the game.
Trying to win the game.
I'm trying to win the game. Yeah, but no other reason. Everything I do is trying to win the game. What do you want me to say to you, lady? Who are you, by the way?
I've never seen you.
I've never seen you in my life. Why are they letting girls down here? Well, at least as a sideline reporter, she didn't make up that conversation with the coach.
Yeah.
Now, there is a reference to a story that many of you don't know about, but it's a pretty, it was a sideline reporter that admitted she made up conversations that she had with coaches, right?
Yep. She would just say, yeah, sometimes I couldn't get to them, and so I just make up the conversation.
Yeah, but see, I could do the same thing.
We all could.
I mean, we could all do it. And it wasn't like she was making up like crazy like injury reports or whatever. Coach feels like he's really got to get his defense off the field on third down. And he also told us that third down efficiency's got to be a priority for the offense. There were only 3 of 11 in the first half in third down situations. And he feels like if they can't convert more of those third downs, it's going to be a long second half. Back to you.
That's it. No, that's it. But you have access. Go get another nugget. Go say, hey, I saw these 2 players arguing, and we know in prior weeks they've had their tiffs or whatever it is, but gain something. Come on. We're all dying for that access. Don't make it up.
4857, while we're on the subject, says, even though I'm disappointed with the outcome, I'd like to hear about your experience at Old Rocky Top. I will offer that experience for you next. It's 2:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. United Structural Systems is a foundation repair and waterproofing company serving Middle Tennessee since 1994. 1994, a long time ago. If you do anything for that length of time, almost 30 years, you're doing it the right way. And we know that because they have over 25,000 satisfied residential customers at United Structural Systems. Fact of the matter is, we live in a very hilly environment in the state of Tennessee, and with those hills comes water, and with water comes waterproofing issues and foundation issues. And if you have either of those 2 items at your home, you probably have noticed the telltale signs. So if you don't know what those signs are, go to USSTN.com to find out more. They've got listings of the signs of foundation problems, the signs of waterproofing problems, a reason to give them a call. USSTN.com. When you call them, you'll know that homeowners trust USS. They've been keeping homes stable and dry for a long time, and they certainly guarantee their best. Serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Northern Alabama since 1994. 615-488-7855. 488-7855 for USS, United Structural Systems.
My name is Crystal Knight. I was actually addicted to meth. I had lost my children, my home, my family, all of it. And I was broken, and I had really nothing left. We've got the staff who show the love of Christ every day. It's the network here helps me get clean and stay clean. I'm coming up on 3 years. I've worked here over 2. this place changed my life. I just hope that they donate to this place because they'll love it as much as I do. If they just look into it a little bit, it changes lives.
President Biden striking deals with China and Mexico to try and crack down on fentanyl production. That and more. 2:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Also coming up, a couple of stories out of Nashville, Tennessee. One affecting the entire state regarding Governor Bill Lee's plan on next year's regular session of the Tennessee General Assembly. Will he bring back an order of protection proposal? That is on the way, coming up in mere moments on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Many of you commenting on our brief conversation about Harbaugh and the sign-stealing controversy, saying, you know what, everybody does it. Well, not everybody does it the way that he was doing it. And just to help those of you understand, what Harbaugh is accused of, or what Michigan's accused of doing, is paying someone, in some cases, to dress up like the opposing team.
Yeah.
So as to stand on the sidelines. He was literally dressing up like the visiting team, standing on the sidelines and stealing the signs of the team that Michigan was set to play. That's different than during the game going, hey, I think that little sign that they're doing means that they're going to blitz. And it's a different thing. And recording it, too, by the way, and being paid to do so. Also, I don't know if it's true or not, but there's an accusation that Harbaugh, gave Shane Beamer some signs. He was giving – they stole the signs, and then they gave the signs to other teams of other schools that could potentially benefit them down the road. And, yes, John, I agree with you. John from Lawrenceburg says most people don't care about sideline reports. I don't really need sideline reports anymore. I kind of like what they do they're doing it on the quarters now, where they don't try to interview them when they're going into halftime. They interview them between the first and second quarters.
Yeah.
I like that a lot more than I like the desperate rush to get them before they head to because the coach has to interview with whatever television broadcast is broadcasting the game. They then have to interview with their radio partners that are also broadcasting the game. They have limited amounts of time to meet with the team anyway. So, yeah.
My thing isn't as much caring. I don't care about the reports either, but just the integrity of the reporting. I mean, you are a journalist. You're reporting. You have access that we all dream of.
Yes. You can't, what you can't do, and I forget her name, but this.
Carissa Thompson
admitted that, when sometimes you don't see the reporter on the sidelines actually interviewing the coach.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come back and they say, hey, I just had a chance to speak with Coach Morey.
Yep.
He was telling me this, that, and the other thing. He said these are the things that we need to do to improve on.
Yep.
When you see that, you have to expect that they're telling you the truth.
They did just do it, right?
Well, Carissa Thompson admitted that sometimes she just made that up. If she couldn't catch the coach, she just acted like she caught the coach and said generic things.
Yeah, just said things.
You got to, third down efficiency.
Yeah, they got to run the ball better.
We got to get better runs on first down, or whatever it might be. All right, so not to belabor this, I know I've got to get into the news with Mac Moore in a second. So my experience at Rocky Top was wonderful.
Nice.
It was great. Had a great time. Everybody has their own fan base and their own problems within the fan base, and we had a couple of those moments. There were a couple of frat boys.
Of course.
I mean, they're over, hydrated. And they had a few things to say about Georgia after the game, which, okay, fine.
Whatever.
A little popcorn on us at one point.
Oh, really?
Because I emote, and I don't care what the score is. So when we scored that touchdown to make it 38-10, I kind of, and I'm not yelling again. I'm yelling for my team.
You're yelling for your team.
And somebody threw popcorn on me.
Sorry about that, man.
And was like, uh-oh. Oh, no.
Oh, no, what?
Oh, no. Why did you not tell me that the operations manager was a Michigan fan? Why did you not tell me? Charlie is like pointing to his chest, pointing to me, pointing to his office. I don't know what.
I had no clue.
Why did you?
Oh, that's great.
Is no one going to have my back that Charlie is a Michigan fan and he listens to the radio show and he's like he's got a Michigan shirt on right now.
Oh, we're screwed.
Oh no. Oh boy, oh boy. This is why I should never talk sports.
I was defending. All right.
Harbaugh's
great. He's a great coach.
I thought Harbaugh was a great guy. You did a good job. Nealon, loved you. You're old, and there are places where you notice it, right? But, all right, 32 after the hour. Look, I loved my experience. The campus was gorgeous. Obviously, the outcome was wonderful, but 99.5% of the people that we met were gracious, were awesome, were good folks. It's the way that you would want to experience a Saturday. Clearly, I loved the outcome, and the fan base did not love the outcome, but it was the second loudest experience of my life when they ran the 75-yard touchdown back.
Nice.
I have not experienced. I cannot recall anything other than I was on. Oh boy,
It's hard to do it after a 38-10
Oh well, whatever.
loss,
I mean,
but
whatever.
I was like Joe, the truck driver, talked about it earlier, so this is all we're getting.
Mac's gonna have to do the news. You're just gonna kill me? You're just gonna kill me right there? I was right there. I was gonna try to rhyme something with news. It's time for the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.234, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 57 degrees, a cloudy, wet day in Nashville, and a slight chance of showers the rest of this afternoon into this evening, but it may clear up tomorrow, and it's set to be clear and sunny for Thanksgiving. Got a full weather forecast coming up in 2 minutes. President Biden held a meeting today with senior members of his administration to follow up on gains he says his administration has made on combating the illegal import and distribution of fentanyl. The president struck a deal last week with the presidents of China and Mexico to crack down on the illegal trade of fentanyl precursor chemicals, which are used to make the potentially deadly drug. Karen Travers has more on what he had to say about the personal impact of the drug on so many American families.
President Biden meeting with senior administration officials to talk about ways to combat the illicit fentanyl trade and acknowledging the holidays can be tough for families who've lost loved ones to the opioid epidemic. He called it a, quote, American tragedy.
Too many are going to face looking at an empty chair for the first time at Thanksgiving, because so many people have died. That's heartbreaking.
After the president's meeting with China's President Xi, the White House announced the U.S. and China will work together on a new effort to target Chinese companies that are making the chemicals for fentanyl.
President Biden said they need to verify that China's shutting down these companies that deal with the drug and not just trust their word. And the FBI warning of scams that target senior citizens in what they're calling the grandparents scam. Im Nguyen has more from Washington.
Beware of a scam targeting older people where the scammer calls a grandparent pretending the grandchild is in jail, according to the FBI. The scam is extensive, where there is a follow-up call of someone posing as the grandchild's attorney, demanding money and instructing secrecy. The FBI says the scam has nabbed $1.9 million in the first 9 months of this year from senior citizens and warns people not to answer from unknown phone numbers and to limit identifiable information posted online.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN 241, winding down our Tuesday edition. We'll hand off to the drive with Brian Wilson coming up in moments. We'll talk with Brian about what's happening from 3 until 7 this afternoon. We've several things to do between now and then. One thing real quick, just to recap, is Maury back there? It's better if he's not. If he's not, okay, so just to recap, I've always had great respect for Jim Harbaugh and the University of Michigan. For some reason, Mac Maury hates them. I don't know what the deal is. I just want to get on the record with it. So I want you, one final thought on this sign stealing thing, because several people on the Super Text line have asked this question. I'm curious your thought on it. They understand it's against the rule. But the question for these folks is why? Why is it against the rule? Why is that a rule? Why don't you just allow that to happen? How would you respond to that?
Because I think you kind of touched on it at the beginning, because the signs, the structure that college football has now set up as far as communication is concerned, they don't have mics to the quarterbacks. The signs that you have on the sideline are imperative as to what you are doing, both on offense and defense. They tell a lot of what is happening, where in NFL, there's still signs. They'll do some stuff. And in high school, they'll do some stuff. But more than anything, what you're saying in that quarterback's helmet or your middle linebacker, your captain of the defense's helmet, is what's going to be really guiding you on that next play and on that series as to what you're seeing. So I think that would be the why.
Well, for me, the reason that the rule makers that be, whether I guess it's an NCAA rule, you can do whatever you need to do during game to try to figure out if you know the signs that they're giving. The question is, why is it against the rules to travel and scout? Because you would create an arms race that is absurd. You understand that this is big business. Yeah. So you would have the University of Georgia, for example, if it were allowed, you would have a team of staff members buying tickets, taking up tickets,
100%.
Flying to games, spending a tremendous amount of resources that other programs don't have, by the way. So you're setting up a disparity between the programs so that they could send people out to different games and scout, and they would scout the team that the team is going to play when the team. I mean, they would go to the University of Georgia would go to every Tennessee game and be in every Tennessee game.
Yes,
Tennessee would go to every Georgia
vice
game,
versa,
and they would have the resources to do. You create this arms race that you can just shut down by going, no, we're not going to allow that. That's against the rules.
And then you'd have a school like Vandy, who doesn't spend on their football program.
No, that's right.
You're going, hey, wait, what? You guys were allowed to cheat, and we were too, but we can't. Whereas the NFL, it is an equal playing ground. They are all paying people to go up into the press box and watch the game and watch what they do on both offense and defense. That's a part of the sport.
And 3581 says, a general rule of sports, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. There's a difference in I look at it this way. Junior Johnson, and I hate to compare everything to NASCAR, but I think it's a perfect analogy. Junior Johnson said one time, years and years and years and years ago, that I don't read the rule book for what's in it. I read the rule book for what's not. All right, so it's one thing to find the areas, the gray areas, and exploit those gray areas. I think we all agree that that's just taking advantage of where the rules aren't. There's a difference between taking advantage of where the rules aren't and specifically breaking where the rules are. That's the difference.
100%.
That's the difference. And trust me when I tell you, if you're in the opposing team's stadium, like, I don't know, Neyland, and a flag gets thrown on the opposing team, and you are obviously rooting for the visiting team, they hate it when you yell cheating. So I do that. I love it. I do that all the time, and I love the way that people look at it. Like, if you're like, Georgia's playing Georgia Tech. If there's a flag on Tech, I will point at the TV as cheating.
That's cheating.
You're cheating. Stop whatever you're doing to cheat. Stop that. Play by the rules. Trust me when I tell you, they hate it when you do that in Neyland Stadium, especially when they're down 31-10. All right, 2:46. Real quick, couple of stories to get to before we get to Brian Wilson and find out what's happening with him. We have not spoken about this investigation that's being opened into Media Matters, but I absolutely love it. Apparently, Elon Musk is suing Media Matters. For those who have not caught this story, so Media Matters created a story out of whole cloth about anti-Semitic comments being made on Twitter and other nasty right-wing, quote-unquote, comments being made on Twitter, and those comments being positioned right next to advertising platforms. And some of the advertisers, like Disney and Apple, have pulled from X. They're specifically trying to push X as a platform into bankruptcy as a result of going after their advertisers. And they're doing so in such a way that is disingenuous at best and made up out of whole cloth at worst. And now Media Matters is being sued. They published a report Friday accusing X of placing ads next to, quote, white nationalist hashtags. However, Elon Musk says that the group not only completely misrepresented the real user experience in order to mislead advertisers, but he's suing them as a result. And they're taking this case up in Texas. And I say more power to Elon Musk, more power to free speech. It kind of circles back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. You can disagree vehemently with what I say, but defend to the death my right to say it, absent a real threat to other individuals in a direct fashion. All right, closer to home, we've been following this story and covering it for you throughout the last several weeks. Belmont University is planning to honor slain freshman Jillian Ludwig in a private ceremony later on this month. Ludwig, of course, as we know and we've much discussed, died November 8th after being shot in the head by a stray bullet during an afternoon walk at a park near campus. She was 18 years of age. Funeral services have been held in her home state of New Jersey. Belmont's service of remembrance is scheduled for 10 a.m. Wednesday, November 29th, next week, a week from tomorrow, at McAfee Concert Hall. The service will not be open to the public. It's intended for the campus community only, and there was a decline to comment any further on the nature of the event. But your heart goes out to the Ludwig family and to the Belmont University family more broadly regarding that senseless death. I am still amazed that House Speaker, and I think Tennessee Star put up a story on this earlier in the week, or maybe it was over the weekend. I think it was Sunday. Tennessee House Speaker Sexton claims Nashville DA Funk doing everything he can to put people behind bars. It's funny. We interviewed Sexton last week, and I told this story the other day. I was falling asleep, and I had the television on. I normally don't have the TV on when I'm falling asleep in bed. It was in the bedroom. We've got a television in the bedroom, and although we always said we wouldn't, and we did. And as I'm falling asleep, I'm listening to the news. Channel 2 was on in the background, and I am probably 3/4 asleep. And I hear, blah, 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 Cameron Sexton, blah, 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 Matt Murphy on the Matt Murphy Show, blah, 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 blah. And then I hear what I think to be my voice as I'm falling asleep. And I'm like, hey, I'm on the news. And another part of my brain, as I'm drifting into sleep, said to the other part of my brain, you're dreaming. You're not on the news. This happened to me. Like, I was half dreaming and half awake, and then I woke up and I was actually on the news. They did a report on our conversation with Cameron Sexton, as did the Tennessee Star. I am fascinated that Cameron Sexton continues to double and triple down on the idea that the district attorney in Davidson County is doing everything he can to put people behind bars, which is what he said to us last week, but he continues to double and triple down on that. And then I see this story. One of the men arrested in connection with the weekend street racing takeover near the Nashville airport, which police say involved more than 60 vehicles, had previously been arrested and released on low bond in March and June. That doesn't sound like the DA doing everything in his power to keep people off the streets who are a danger to their community. Just a point of order. And then finally, Governor Bill Lee is saying that he will not bring back risk protection orders or quote-unquote red flag laws at the regular session. expressing that the people have spoken, that he's going to instead focus on what we can do regarding mental health and other things, saying that the people of the state of Tennessee have expressly said that they do not want red flag laws that would curtail the rights of firearm owners. 251 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back in a moment.
A Roth IRA versus a traditional IRA. Which one should we do? A lot of people struggle over this particular decision. And I'll just give you a couple tools to figure out what might be better for you. Think about it this way. Let's say if I had $1,000 that I was thinking about investing, that was income, $1,000 of income. With an IRA, let's say that you're in a 30% tax bracket. Let's say there is such a thing. And you want to put this money in an IRA. You're going to save $300 in taxes. Now, if you go post-tax with like a Roth IRA, this is how much goes into the Roth IRA. Now, let's say that later on down the road, we have this money and it didn't grow at all, just to keep the math really simple. And let's say that at some point in the future, you're in a lower tax bracket, because the way our tax system works is that your first income is taxed at a really low rate, and then you get up into higher rates, 10%, 12%, 22%, and so on and so forth. It gets higher. If you're earning income and you're at that particular tax rate up there, you might want to avoid that tax rate right now and take the income at a later point in time when you're in a lower average tax rate. Now let's say that you're in a 10% bracket down here when you pull the money. How much are you going to pay in taxes? 10% of $1,000 is $100. How much do you get to spend? $900. Well, even though I didn't have growth, I had growth because of the difference between my tax rate here and here. And that's the idea. That's one of the things that we look at. We look at Social Security taxation, income taxation, and a lot of factors that might drive you in a higher or lower brackets in the future. If you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call or call 615-851-1950.
Today's show happened because I saw a comment. He said, why don't you do something on doves and dove fields and how to find them and things like that. So
yeah, all right.
Good idea. It's past the opening day, but like you said, it can work.
Yeah.
Because the season is long. It runs for 90 days and there's 3 segments, so we're going to cover all that today. Let's rattle off the season. September 1 through September 28th is the first segment of Dove, and then October 14th through November 5th, and then December 8th through January 15th. 15 is your bag limit. So September 1 is opening day, and that's at noon in Tennessee.
September 1st has been one of those days. I mean, you'll see guys. I mean, they'll take off work. Have big cooking and getting together with friends, and it's kind of neat to see.
Yeah.
Historically, it's a huge social event. I'd say the majority of the hunters probably hunt opening day, opening weekend, and then won't pick up a shotgun until next year. So,
we have 2 other segments besides this one. Running in October, and then even all the way through January 15th. There's a lot of opportunity throughout the year.
On our website, tnwildlife.org, on our homepage, you can click the button there to dove hunting info and fields is what the button's titled. It's got all the information on dove hunting. You can find the fields there. So let's talk about how to find a field. You click on Region 2, it pulls up the options that are available, and get down to Bart Camp Barrens, and you see it's open statewide. So the hunting's not over there. There's still opportunity. Even though we had a big opening day, let it die down a little bit and get back in there. You're going to have some good hunting, I think, there, sounds like, anyway.
A military jet ending up in the Pacific Ocean. Holiday travel gearing up here in the Volunteer State. Another January 6th rioter sentenced, and Black Friday coming up. That and more, 3 o'clock. Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
You know, I'm just here to help my fellow hosts out. And here I am to say to Brian Wilson, a.k.a. B-Dubs of The Drive, Brian, if you ever have occasion to criticize the University of Michigan, just fair warning, operations manager Charlie Cook, big Michigan fan. I learned that the hard way today. Huh?
Yeah. I wasn't aware of that landmine, but it hasn't come up. But I'll put that in my file.
Hey, listen, a sincere thank you, man. What a wonderful opportunity for us to get together. You know, we don't get to see you each other often because you're in beautiful Watertown, and what a great time yesterday for a wonderful cause, man.
It really was, and I'm going to spend some time today talking about how gracious everybody has been and how giving and generous. I mean, it's just really it's heartwarming to see this listenership that we have. These amazing people who listen to our radio station and for some reason find favor with what we do, coming to a great cause. And by the way, I really enjoyed, working there with you and Dan and Chris. It was a lot of fun, and I think it's become my favorite day of the year.
It is a lot of fun. Yeah. There will be a time where we do not best ourselves while I'm around, but I don't want that time to come anytime soon because, when I say we, I'm talking about all the people that gave almost $250,000 in 14 hours. What
amazing.
An incredible experience.
Really amazing. Yeah. Thanks again.
Well, thank you, Brian, for everything yesterday, and thank you for today. 3 to 7, The Drive, every Monday through Friday, and Brian will be here with you to deliver the news and the views and everything else in between, and he's coming up right after Mac. Maury has a few headlines for us as well. Listen to The Drive. I know I will be, and we'll be back tomorrow for a First Amendment Freestyle Wednesday as we make our way to Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving week to everyone. Talk to you at high noon tomorrow. The Drive coming up next. So long.